Jesuit ideals, traditions, and academic excellence. Loyola is a rigorous co-educational college preparatory school that develops leaders committed to the service of others. Forge ahead to embrace the great opportunities of a hope-filled future and seek a greater purpose than your own. That's really the essence of who we are as a Catholic Jesuit institution, but also as an independent school as well. With students, we ask them to think critically, act socially, and lead ethically, to gain sound analytical judgment, demonstrate self-expression, serve others, and express interest in and concern for all of God's creation. And we're as responsible global citizens and leaders of our own personal integrity. I'd like to now introduce to you our school president, Mr. Tony Urslani, class of 1987, and our principal, Mr. Jim Linus, to speak next here on our virtual open house. Tony?
Thank you, Mr. Lodi, and welcome all. I underline and echo the welcome. It is great to see all of you here, and I hope you'll be able to enjoy this evening. Two bits of advice for you. I would say take in as much information as you can, and this is important as well. Try to enjoy the evening. High school is an amazing time period. You enter high school as girls and boys, and you graduate high school as young women and men off to find colleges and universities around the country and around the world. Those 4 years in between really are priceless. When we talk with our students about when they're thinking about colleges, what they should be thinking about, we always say, try to look for the right fit, try to find the right match. That principle of the right fit, the right match also applies when you're applying to high school as well. But you may be asking yourself, how do I know if Loyola is the right fit or the right match? So I have a few questions that you can ask yourselves to see if Loyola is just that. And the first question would be, do you want to attend a school that prioritizes academic excellence? It's an important thing to look into your heart for. Loyola prioritizes academic excellence. Is that an environment that you'd be comfortable in? Loyola is a co-ed school. Do you want to attend a co-ed high school? That's obviously a bigger question, and it's one that you have to think about, and more on that later for me as well, but a big question to answer. Loyola is also a smaller high school. We have 229 students, and we're believers that from a small school, you have big experiences. But you may also be thinking of a school of 1,000 students, and try to understand the difference between a school of 229 students and 1,000 students. We are devout to our Jesuit mission and our independent school mission as well. We take it very seriously. And so for all of you to understand that you'd be comfortable in a school that takes our Jesuit heritage very seriously, as well as our independent school heritage seriously, that's an important thing to think about. Also, it may be interesting for you to know that over the years, about 95% of our students participate in at least one co-curricular activity, and about 2/3 of our students participate in at least 3 co-curricular activities, and lots of our students participate in even more than that. So is that the type of school that you might want to attend? And my hope here while sitting in the school, and that you're sitting at home, you've all said yes, 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 yes to all of those questions. And Loyola may just be the right fit for all of you. When we talk about what the work that we do at Loyola with the adults in the community as well as our students, we're always looking to be a better school, trying to improve the learning experience for our students and improve the high school experience for our students. And if you were walking through the building today, and you'll do that a little bit with our virtual tour, you'll see that we've recently upgraded our art spaces. We recently upgraded our science spaces. We've recently upgraded spaces in our athletics for our gym. We've added a practice field on top of our gym, and we've done some work with within our library, in the back of our library to improve learning experiences. Once again, all inspired by how do we improve the high school experience for our students. I mentioned that I would circle back to the concept of coeducation, and we are very biased regarding this, but we're also firm believers that the best high school experience when done right for a student, is a co-ed high school experience, as it reflects the world that surrounds all of us. I'm also happy to report that you heard this from Mr. Lodi and Ms. Pinnell and Ms. Nunel is terrific as well. And what you'll find from them is that you'll find an admissions high school, an admissions experience where they want to help you, and they want to help you find where you can become your own best selves. So another terrific person as well is our principal, and he's up next, and I'm about to hand the baton to him, and he'll talk to you about how so many Jesuit principles influence our everyday work at Loyola, and those principles have helped about 2/3 of our students go off to top 50 colleges and universities around the country year after year. Once again, I hope you enjoy this evening, and I pass things on to Mr. Linus now.
Thank you, Mr. Urslani. Good evening, everyone. Let me add my virtual words of welcome to you as you join us for open house tonight. My name is Jim Linus. I'm Loyola's principal. This is my 40th year at Loyola School. I've worn many hats here, and this is my lucky 13th year as the principal. We're proudly part of the tradition of Jesuit education here at Loyola. I feel that Jesuit education was a gift that was left to us by the founder of the Jesuits, St. Ignatius Loyola, and the person obviously for whom our school is named, left to us over 450 years ago. And since its founding in 1900, Loyola School has offered that rigorous college preparatory program for which the Jesuits are so well known. And since 1973, the gift of a Jesuit education has been available here at the corner of Park and 83rd to young women as well as young men. So we are almost to our 50th anniversary celebrating coeducation at Loyola. Loyola is unique in the tri-state area as the only high school which is Jesuit, independent, and coeducational. I want to give you a brief overview of the program here at Loyola School. Our educational experience is designed to help our students to grow in 5 areas. They're the areas that we call the profile of the graduate of a Jesuit high school at graduation. That's an awful lot to say. It's a big mouthful. So we shorten it and we call it the grad at grad. And those characteristics are that a Loyola student is becoming more academically excellent, more open to growth, more religious, more loving, and more committed to doing justice. So let's start with the academic program. Loyola students are very successful academically. Our rigorous college prep program offers many opportunities for honors and advanced placement courses. I think we're a good blend of what might be called a traditional college preparatory program, together with innovation that we offer that helps our students to develop those 21st century skills of collaboration, communication, critical thinking, and creativity. And our program prepares our students for success at colleges and universities that are among the most highly selective in the country and internationally. But I do think it's important to note that while our students are compiling those great academic records, they're actually happy here. I think we have an environment that lends itself to personal attention. With approximately 230 students in the school, about 55 students at each grade level, and an average class size of 17 or 18 students, our students get a lot of individual personalized attention from our talented and dedicated faculty members. But the Loyola program goes beyond academic excellence. The many offerings in our sports and co-curricular programs offer our students the opportunity to become more open to growth, that second characteristic, as they explore and develop their own God-given gifts and talents, hopefully discover one or two that they didn't even know that they had when they joined us, and in the process, they come to value the unique talents of each of their classmates. We have co-curricular activities that offer opportunities in sports, music, acting, art, writing, photography, travel, robotics, and each of those experiences offers unique opportunities for leadership as we help our students to become the leaders of tomorrow. The third area of development, spiritual development, Loyola students are becoming more religious through their studies in our theology classes, through their participation in our retreat program, and through the opportunities for worship and prayer on a daily basis. But no matter what their faith background might be, and Loyola students do come from a variety of faith backgrounds, all of us here at Loyola are guided by the directive of St. Ignatius to find God in all things. Finding God in one another is a great place to start, and that strengthens the Loyola community and the bonds among its members, and the opportunities to come to know and learn about and care for one another here in the building help our students to become more loving, that fourth area of development. Understanding one's faith, however, is not sufficient. We really believe that faith needs to be put into action, and we want Loyola students to be committed to doing justice in service to others. Loyola's motto is men and women for others, an emphasis on putting faith into action. And that happens really through our Christian service program with incremental requirements at each level throughout high school. And there are also additional volunteer opportunities that so many of our students take advantage of. Trips to Camden, New Jersey, Appalachia, and Belize to be of service to some of the underserved communities there. A group of our students has gone to the Arizona border with Mexico to study issues of immigration that are so much a part of our national conversation these days. But even closer to home, a group of Loyola students and faculty members often meet on Saturdays to make brown bag lunches and to deliver them to the homeless of New York City. And last year in this, because of COVID, there are also virtual opportunities for service in which our students are participating. In closing, I would like to say that I think it's difficult to enter Loyola's building, either virtually or in person, I think, without experiencing the warmth of our community, the dedication and talent of our faculty members, and the happiness of our students. The 4 years of high school are indeed really important years, those years in which boys and girls do become young men and young women. And we think that Loyola is a transformational experience that provides an atmosphere in which that growth can take place in a nurturing environment, so that by the time our students leave us, they are lifelong learners who indeed are becoming more academically excellent, more open to growth, more religious, more loving, and more committed to doing justice. Thank you for being with us tonight. I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening, and I'll turn things back over to Mr. Lodi. Thanks.
Thank you, Jim. I greatly appreciate it. Your words of wisdom and your experience truly tell us the tale of what Jesuit education and the transformative experience it really is for all of our students here at Loyola. Next, we will be doing our virtual tour. You'll be guided to that through that tour through our current junior Ishan Parashar, who will be narrating the virtual tour as we go along. Once we have the screen of the tour up, here we go. And I'm going to ask Ishan, are you with us here?
Hello.
All right.
Hi, Ishan.
Thanks, Ishan. And we're going to start our tour. So here we go.
Okay, yeah, so this is the main entrance to Loyola when you walk in the building. So this is every morning, this is where you'll check in. So this room is the parlor. This is usually you'll have small events in here. This is where a lot of sports teams wait before practice starts. Sometimes extra time students will do their tests in here. So this is the chapel. So this is where you'll have more small scale religious events, maybe a mass that's limited to just one grade, or maybe a grade will wait here before departing for their yearly religious retreats, or you'll just meet in here for some sort of grade specific event. So yeah, usually when we're doing a whole school event, we go to the church next door, the St. Ignatius of Loyola Church. So this is more of like a smaller space for smaller events. So this is the second floor. So this room, these people are coming out of is the library. So normal people hang out here during their free periods. Hang out here during their free periods is where you can come and study, do homework, check out books. You know, Loyola makes it pretty easy to do that. So, and the library has a great selection of books. So I like to come in here and take out stuff sometimes. And yeah, it's a really good place if you want to come and work with your friends and get stuff done and study for tests and that kind of stuff. So here, walking down this hallway, which comes from the library, this is our Magis Center. So you have a couple rooms in here. This is where a lot of the STEM classes meet. STEM is a relatively new program at Loyola. Yeah, you take STEM courses for the first 2 years, and then you can take electives in your junior and senior year. This is a Spanish class going on right there. You'll have some other classes meeting in this area as well. But this is mostly like a STEM area. So you take freshman STEM, which is Introduction to Coding and Robotics freshman year. Sophomore, you take 1 semester of 3D design and 1 semester of coding, and then you can take electives for the last years. So this is just a typical classroom at Loyola. This is an English class going on right now with Dr. Mead. These kind of more generic classrooms will have all sorts of different classes in them. It's not really anything specific. This is another English class with Mr. Windles. And this is, I believe this is an AP US history class. Yeah, that's Mr. Pamuk. He teaches AP US history. So these kind of, like I said, these more generic classrooms, you'll have, you know, all sorts of different classes in them. So this is the biology lab. So as the name suggests, you'll mostly have your biology classes in here, whether you're in freshman bio, which everyone takes freshman year, or AP biology, which you take senior year. This is usually where the biology classes will meet on the 4th floor, which is kind of the science and math floor. So this is the chemistry lab, where you'll usually have your chemistry classes. Although, as you can see here, we're having some other classes. But usually you have this room usually for your chemistry or some sort of science class. And physics lab, I think that's also pretty self-explanatory. This is where a lot of your physics classes will meet. Junior year, you can take physics or honors physics. And then senior year, you can take AP physics. So this is the art studio. So Loyola has a very comprehensive art program. Sophomore year, you take 1 semester of studio art in here with Ms. Moyler, and then 1 semester music theory. And then you can take art electives. Photography was mentioned earlier by, I believe, Mr. Linus. Painting, drawing, film study. You can also take a lot of different music classes, digital performance, orchestra, a lot of other music electives throughout your junior and your senior year as well. So Loyola has a lot of opportunities if you're more of an artistic person to sort of explore that, you know, passion. So yeah, so this is the stairwell. Yeah. Definitely get a good cardio workout every day at Loyola. So this is the Gannon Theater. So you'll have a lot of classes in here, and you also have your we have 2 plays in the year, a fall production and a spring production. They'll be in the theater. You can't really see it, but the back wall opens up into another room so you can put more seats. This is the turf. So you can come out here when it's nice out, you know, the weather, it's nice to come out here and study, hang out with friends. The soccer team and the golf team have their practices here, and you can always come up during your free periods or lunches and, you know, play sports with your friends or just hang out, you know, when the weather's nice, or you can come up and study and work. Yeah, it's a nice outdoor space in New York City, which is kind of hard to get. So this is the Commons. This is where you'll eat lunch. You know, you can hang out in here with your friends during your free periods, do work, study. In the corner there is Miss Morano's office. Mr. Linus brought up Christian Service. She's a director of Christian Service at Loyola, so she runs that program throughout all the 4 years. This is the senior section. They get their own little section in the Commons. So this is the gym. So most of the sports teams have practice in here. You'll have your gym classes in here. And then every other day we have morning assembly in here where the whole school meets. Loyola has a very, if you're really into sports, Loyola has a very comprehensive sports program, which I'm sure we talked about later, but we have everything from basketball to golf to baseball, softball, volleyball, soccer. So we have a lot of different sports teams if you're interested in sports and want to pursue that passion. So.
All right, thank you, Sean. I greatly appreciate it. You had the opportunity to see the classrooms at Loyola, but I think to get a true sense of the school and a true sense of what goes on in the classroom is really to hear from the teachers and to maybe experience a little bit of what they do when interacting and teaching our students on a day-to-day basis. So we have with us tonight two teachers, two instructors here at Loyola, Mr. Greg Chin, who teaches theology and Latin here at Loyola, and Ms. Joanne Cusk, who teaches global studies to our freshmen here at Loyola. And both of them will be doing a sample lesson for us this evening. We will start with Mr. Chin. Whenever you're ready.
Oh, sorry about that. Can everyone hear me okay? Great. All right, then just give me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully technology is on our side, and then we'll get right into it. Share screen button. I think it's this one. Here we go. All righty. So again, as Mr. Lodi said, my name is Greg Chin, and in addition to teaching Latin here at Loyola, I also am one of the school's theology teachers as well. And I believe this is for the 5th time today, but welcome to Loyola this evening for our virtual open house as well. And I'm so delighted to both meet you all in this virtual space and to see you all today as well. I will be teaching today over 2 screens. So one screen I'll be using to share my slides right here. Then the other screen is right over here. So if you see me looking in this direction, I'm just looking to see everyone in the audience. So a little bit about me before I get started. Again, I am the Latin teacher. So I teach Latin 1, 2, and 3 here at the school, and potentially, if there's interest, Latin 4. And I also teach 2 out of the 3 first-year theology classes here at the school as well. In addition to teaching, I also work together with Ms. Cusk for the INES program, which is run by Mr. Joseph, and we meet on Tuesday afternoons and on Saturday mornings. And I'm also the faculty facilitator for our Asian American and Pacific Islander affinity space at the school as well. So before we get started, I did want to give just a quick announcement about participation. Normally, both over Zoom and in class, I'm very big into hands going up and us participating in that way. Because, however, we have about 131 people over Zoom today, there will be opportunities for you to participate, but I do ask that you just use the chat, and I'll do my best to monitor the answers and responses as they come through. For today's class, though, we're actually not going to get started with Latin grammar. Although I'm a Latin teacher, we're actually going to get started just with a quick English grammar review of sorts. And with that being said, let's get right into it. So I just wanted to do a quick grammar review before we jump into the material we're covering for today in our demo lesson. We've got 3 questions appearing up on the screen. We have, what is our subject? What is our action verb? And what is our direct object? So a sentence will appear on the right. What I'm going to ask you to do really quickly is, if in the chat, students, could you just identify these 3 things in our subject, or in our sentence rather? The first sentence is, of course, the sailor loves the water. Let's take a second right now and use the chat to type in the subject, the action verb, and then the direct object. Very good. Nicely done there. Yes, thank you so much. We've got awesome. Good, good. As those responses are coming on in, here's another one. We see a dog. So once again, subject, action, verb, and direct object really quickly as I'm drinking this slightly cold cup of coffee right now. Nicely done, everyone. Great, excellent. So again, what we have going on here actually has to do with English word order. Notice how in both of these sentences, the subject came first. This was then followed by the action verb loves and see, and then we had our direct object. In English, word order matters. And in fact, it can actually save lives as well. And here's what I mean by that. So notice we've got two sentences appearing on the left. We have the sailor loves the water, sentence that appeared on the previous slide, and also the sentence Mr. Egner eats a cookie, featuring my good friend and colleague, Mr. Harry Egner, who teaches history and the AP psychology class as well. He also enjoys eating cookies, or so I've heard. So notice in these two sentences, the subject comes first, followed by our action verb, and then of course, we've got our direct object. But what if we changed the word order? Notice how here we would have the water loves the sailor, and in addition to that, we have the cookie eats Mr. Egner. So again, notice how here in these two examples, in particular, the sentences with the cookies, by changing around the order of our words, we are saying either that Mr. Egner is eating a chocolate chip cookie or that he is being eaten by this cookie that looks like a great white shark. So in the English language, word order matters. Generally, the subject comes, then the verb of sorts, then a direct object, provided that we're dealing with a transitive verb, of course. But, well, what if the order of the words didn't matter? And that's actually what we'll be exploring today. While I was thinking about what to teach our demo class on this evening, I was thinking about Mr. Linus. So for today's presentation, I wanted to propose a thought experiment of sorts. Oh, hello, Mr. Linus. You'll be featuring in our presentation this evening. So what I wanted to think about was this. What if Mr. Linus asked us to create our own coded language, a language that doesn't rely on the order of the words, but instead relies on the color of the words? So in our color-coded sentences, we're going to use the following code. Anything that appears in blue will be our subject. Anything in green, our action verb. And then finally, anything that is in red will be our direct object. Remember, as these things appear up on the screen, we're paying attention not to the order of the words, but the color. And the color of the words will tell you what each sentence actually means. Let's look at this first sentence together. We have the sailor loves the water. Based off of the colors here, can someone type in quickly, what does the sentence actually mean? Again, pay attention to the color of the words, not so much the order in which they appear. Blue will be the subject, green will be our action verb in this sentence, and finally, red will be the direct object. So again, if folks can use the chat, good, nice job here. Yes, as friends are noticing in the chat, this sentence just means the sailor loves the water. Great. Now what about this? Now we have the water the sailor loves. What does this sentence mean? Good. Yes, as folks are noticing, wait a minute. This means the same exact thing as the first sentence. And yes, that's correct. But notice here how we're no longer paying attention to the order in which the words appear. We're paying attention to the color. Finally, we have loves the sailor the water. I suppose I sound like Master Yoda with that past sentence, but once again, let's use the chat here to type in what this means. Yeah, good. Once again, it's the same sentence. Well done here. And then last, but certainly not least, I think we're getting the hang of it now. Again, although this says the water loves the sailor, this sentence actually would be, once again, the sailor loves the water. So again, we just said the same exact sentence in 4 different ways because we're paying attention to the color of the words and not the order. But that was a little easy, I suppose. I mean, Mr. Linus did ask us in this hypothetical thought experiment to create a coded language, and we kind of sort of just figured that out in about 1 minute and 30 seconds, give or take. So what if we made it a little bit harder now? What if we needed another layer to our code? And this time around, we're going to be paying attention both to the color and also to the endings that are used for each word. So our vocabulary words are still the same. We're still dealing with something having to do with sailors, loving, and water, where the word nauta would mean sailor, aqua would mean water, and amat as a verb means love. Now let's look at this sentence here. Now we're paying attention to the color of the words. If the word ends in A, we're dealing with the subject. And if it ends in we're dealing with the direct object. Can we use the chat to figure out what this sentence might mean if we're decoding this sentence? We have nauta aquam amat. Nauta is the noun that means sailor, aquam means water, and amat means loves. Good. Good, nicely done there. Once again, we've got a sentence, the sailor loves the water, appearing, but this took a little bit longer to decode. Let's look at this one now. Be very careful here. We've got nautam aqua amat. So again, we're paying attention not to the order of the words, but to the endings. Nicely done there, great. Folks are catching it that this means, nope, this does not mean the sailor loves the water, but this actually means the water loves the sailor. I know, a very interesting sentence, I suppose. And then finally, we have this, amata quam nauta, paying attention to the endings that we're using here. Let's use the chat to translate this quickly. Good. Great work there. I see the chat is coming to life. Thank you all so much. Excellent work. Yes, this one would be the sailor loves the water. What if we wanted to deal with things that were plural though? So we've got these down. Great job. Now let's look at this. If we want our subject to be plural, now the word will end in AE or I, as it's pronounced according to this ending. And then likewise, if we're dealing with a direct object that's plural, it's going to be ending in as, the letters A and S. Let's look at a few more together really quickly. So we've got nautai aquas amant, aquam nautai amant, and finally, aquae amant nautas. Let's look at this first sentence. So we've got nautai aquas amant. Once again, using the chat there. Great job, Michael. Thank you for posting that in the chat. Excellent. So folks are posting this here. Yeah, this just means the sailors love the waters. Notice how we switched over to the plural based off of the endings we're using. Moving on to our next sentence, we've got, of course, aquam nautai amant. So the endings can come from either box here. Let's make sure we're translating this next one, and we're paying attention to the endings that are used, not just the order of the words. Very good, Peter and Rodolfo and Linda, thank you. Yes, the sailors love the water. Nice work there. And then finally, we have aquae amant nautas. Let's use the chat to put this sentence together as well. Yes, great job there. That's the waters love the sailors. So what we were doing here was that we were looking at a language that no longer merely relies on word order to convey meaning, but rather it uses word endings. Long story short, in a nutshell, that is how Latin as a language works. In Latin, it's not the word order that matters. It's the word endings. And we were just doing some Latin sentences there. I suppose that those coded sentences might not have worked because Mr. Linus actually knows Latin as well. But thank you for going on this journey with me through our coded languages. If Latin is something that you're interested in, or if you enjoyed the presentation today, and you decide to come to Loyola next year, here's a little bit of a roadmap as to what your Latin experience might look like. During the first 2 years, we'll do an intro to Latin grammar using Wheelock's Latin, where we'll do an intensive grammar review. Then during the third year, we'll switch to doing some author level reading from Catullus, Cicero, or Caesar. And finally, the optional year 4, depending on interest, will be when we jump into Virgil and Petronius. If you have any questions for me or would like to get in touch, please feel free to send me an email here. This is my email address, gchin@loyolanyc.org. And this was just a little snapshot of what a Latin class might look like here at Loyola. So thank you all so much for your time, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of our open house today as well. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chin. Greatly appreciate it for your fantastic lesson on Latin. Next, we will have Ms. Joanne Cusk joining us. Ms. Cusk.
Thanks. Hello, everybody. I'd like to say you are still very much welcome this evening. And if you shall bear with me for 1 second, I am just going to switch to our PowerPoint. I am Ms. Cusk, and I am happy to do with you this evening a 6-minute history lesson. Now, I'm afraid I do not have cookie memes like Mr. Chin, so I'm afraid I'm at a slight bit of a disadvantage, but let's take it away. Welcome. Just a little bit about me. I am a member of the history department, and I have been teaching since the 1980s. That's the beautiful thing about these filters on the Zoom calls. They're very forgiving. I'm happy to say this is my 28th year at Loyola School. My background is in history and education, and my master's degree is specifically in early modern history, but I have taught American history, world history, Western civilization, medieval European history, modern European history, Irish history, English history, New York City history, just to name a few. I first started my career teaching grade school, 5th and 6th grade. Takes a lot of energy. I also taught at university level for about 4 years, but I must say my favorite is teaching high school students. Love the energy, love the challenge, and have loved the past 28 years at Loyola. Now, like most faculty members at Loyola, we wear many hats. I believe Mr. Linus mentioned brown baggers earlier this evening. I am in fact the moderator of our brown baggers outreach program. I've also helped coordinate our freshman field trips for the past few years. And every June, we try to take our sophomores on a leadership camp. As Mr. Chin mentioned earlier, I am proud to be one of our Ines Reach program teachers, and I have the pleasure every summer of teaching these young ladies about New York City history. So I get to do something that I'm especially fond of. If you don't mind, I'd like to take you through our global studies curriculum a little bit. Ninth grade is global studies. What does that mean, you're thinking? Well, it is essentially a survey of the most iconic civilizations of our ancient world. We cover roughly 10,000 years of history, and that's a pretty tall order. So we like to look at the areas of Africa, Western Asia, or what we would call the Middle East, China, India, Latin America, and Europe, and take some of the most famous ancient civilizations you can think of, whether we're talking about the Sumerians or the Gupta Empire in India, or the kingdom of Zimbabwe in Africa, the Inca, the Maya, the Aztec of Latin America, as well as what you would expect from a more classic Western Civ course, ancient Greece, ancient Rome, and the Middle Ages. So quite the sampling in freshman year. The theme of the course is all about civilization and identity. What do we use when we actually want to analyze a civilization? We're going to chat about that a little bit in a little while. And a word that I like to use with the students is a nice German word called Geist, which means spirit or essence. So the guiding theme throughout global studies in ninth grade is, what is the legacy of these civilizations that we're looking at? What is their Geist? What is their feeling? And why is it important to know that? I like to think by understanding the ancient world, we get to know not only a little bit about ourselves, but to gain a sense of cultural empathy for people all over the world and what they want to tell us. We oftentimes talk about, why is it so crucial to understand history? Why do diplomats and ambassadors study history so much? And it's part of our, we're curious as human beings, yes, certainly. But the more we get to learn each other in this world that we share, hopefully the more we get to understand each other and appreciate each other. If you live in New York City, you get to meet people from all over the world. And hopefully the more we learn about each other, the more we can appreciate this gift of diversity. And if you know a lot about history, you're very good at things like Jeopardy and the New York Times crossword puzzle. Always keep those in mind. All right, as far as my basic teaching philosophy is concerned, I'm a history teacher, so it's going to be a blend of innovation with good old-fashioned traditional skills. Obviously, it's important for me to know my content. As a result, I like to try to keep up on that every year. But I do believe that regardless of the method that you use to teach and the technology that you use, students can always benefit from organizational skills, to become great critical thinkers, to sharpen their writing skills, and to help them develop the strongest possible work ethic. My teaching methods, again, we straddle two worlds, the ancient world and the modern world. We certainly do a lot of Socratic method, question and answers, use of educational videos. I love to use interactive websites such as study.com, Khan Academy, TED TV, and we even use Kahoot to create educational quizzes. Sometimes I do them. Right now, my students actually are using Kahoot as a group project so that they can even teach each other a little bit. We do small group work, partner work. We have been using Google Drive to drop our work in. Most importantly, the assignments are structured. And while I certainly encourage our students to learn from each other, this isn't busy work. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to ask you for a little class participation. And in a moment, when I switch off from sharing, I'm going to ask you to put in the chat what you believe is the answers to this question. What criteria do you think we use when we analyze a civilization. In other words, if I tell you a civilization is an organized society, what sort of organized things will you look at in order to learn about the legacy of a civilization? So I'm going to stop the share for a moment so that I can see everybody. Hello. Okay. So I'd like you to think, hello there, I see lots of smiles. I'd like you to think about if you were an archaeologist and you found a lost civilization, what were some things that you would look for to unlock the secrets of this civilization? Go ahead and start typing in the chat. What would you want to learn? Yes, government, well done. Government system, you got it. Architect, language, what, you guys are going so fast. Traditions, yes, very good. Keep it coming. Geography, nice. Religion, language, religion, family life, well done. Language, way of life, very good. Economic systems, very good. You are doing so great. Oh, I like gender norms. That was awesome. Laws, legal system, well done, well done. Very good. Well, congratulations, ladies and gentlemen, as the chat is coming in, you have just exactly told us this is what we study when we study history. You know, social classes, culture, tradition, written language, laws, gender roles. So, in other words, you don't have to just use a textbook to learn about ancient history. There are so many different things that we study. So aside from the civilizations that I just told you, you might be wondering, well, what happens after freshman year? Well, after freshman year, we switch over to European history. And we have offerings in both survey level European history, and we also have AP European history. Junior year takes us to US history. And again, offering in AP US history as well. Senior year are all of our history electives. And a good number of our students take history as seniors, even though they don't have to. So I'm delighted to tell you that we have courses in AP psychology. We have a economics course taught by Mr. Pamuk. We have a government course also taught by Mr. Pamuk. And Mr. Egner, who teaches AP Psych, also does a global perspectives class, which is fantastic because that's like a modern world history. So we may be a department of three and a half people, but we have a vast course offerings, and we will be delighted to tell you more about it anytime. You have access to all of our emails on our website. So I thank you for all of your comments and your chats. You did very well tonight. I thank you for your attention. Please email us anytime, and I hope that we see you in person very soon. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to switch that back over to Mr. Loading now. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Cuss. Greatly appreciate your work and everything tonight. That was a fantastic lesson and a nice glimpse into global studies. Next, we'd like to have Ms. Jess Holden, who's our academic assistant principal, to speak a little bit about the academic overview here at Loyola, particularly freshman year. Ms. Holden, are you with us?
Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Hi, yeah, as Mr. Lodi said, my name's Jess Holden. This is my 9th year at Loyola. My 3rd as the Dean of Academics, and before that, I taught in the UK for 6 years as well. So I just want to talk a little bit about academic excellence, which is a phrase that I'm sure you've heard a couple of times tonight. But to us, that means far more than great. We're constantly asking ourselves, what do we want our graduates to be? And how do we design an academic program that helps them become that at the end of 4 years? And what we're looking for really is a balance of challenge and support, rigor and flexibility, and tradition and innovation. So ultimately, we want to create lifelong learners. Ishan, I think, did a really good job of walking us through most of our academic program, and you can also find details of what we offer in each year on the school website as well. For the most part, in the first 3 years, all students will take English, math, science, a language. We offer French, Spanish and Latin, as Mr. Chin said, a theology and then history. And as they go through the school, there's much more choice, particularly in senior year. We also offer 14 AP courses, including for the first time this year, AP Computer Science. So we've been working for the past 4 years on developing the STEM program that Ishan did a really good job of explaining on his tour. We also, 2 years ago, we adapted a new schedule to move to 60-minute classes instead of 40-minute ones to enable deeper learning and more student-centered learning as well. The key to a successful academic program, I think, is relationships. Relationships, a good relationship between students and the teacher and between students and each other is at the heart of every classroom. In education generally, there's been definitely a movement away from covering content and rote memorization to developing and cultivating transferable skills. There's so much information out there now, and the question becomes, what do we do with this? How do we read this information and understand it? I always used to say when I was giving talks like this that we don't know what the world is going to look like in 10 years. So we need to prepare students for that ever-changing world. But as the past 18 months has shown us, we don't even know what it's going to look like in a year with any certainty. So as long as our program can, and we know it can challenge our students to be able to think critically and creatively, to problem solve, to be effective communicators and collaborators, and to lead with compassion, then we're equipping them with the tools that they need to go forth, as Mr. Lodi said, and St. Ignatius originally, and set the world on fire. And I'll pass over now to, I think, Mr. Jacques Joseph, who is the Dean of Students.
Good evening, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be among you tonight. I am Jacques Joseph. I am the Dean of Students. I've been at Loyola for 15 years. Prior to the Dean of Students, which I've been for 2 years, I was the chemistry teacher. So I would like to say welcome, or just to change it a little bit, bienvenue, just say it in French so that, you know, we can have a little, spice things up a little bit. So my role, as I like to say, is, you know, to really apply the Cura Personalis outside the classroom, right? Ms. Olden and I, we always talk about how she makes sure that the students are taken well care of inside the classroom, and once they're outside, then it's up to me to step up. I would just like to give you a little overview of the athletic and co-curricular program. For a small school, we're doing quite well. We have 14 teams that compete in the NYCAL, which is the New York Independent School League, right? Over 3 seasons. In the fall, we have soccer and cross country and volleyball. We have basketball in the winter, and in the spring, we have golf, baseball, and softball, and track and field. Of course, how could I forget? We're very competitive for a small school, and this is one of the things that might be attracting also at Loyola is, you know, if you make a team and you know you're talented in the sport, you can make a difference right away at Loyola School, and then that's something that might that can be very attractive at times for students. You will make an impact right away, and then you'll have the opportunity to be a leader in a team. As for the co-curriculars, we have about 30 co-curriculars here at Loyola School. We have 7 clubs, we have 7 leadership groups, and we have 16 co-curricular activities. You know, the difference between an activity and a club is a club meet maybe once a week, and that and an activity more than once a week, and always produce either a production or, you know, a publication. So that's the difference. So we have a lot of activities here for a small school. So we're doing very good from that. And so we offer really a good variety of of activities for your children and for you guys also, because you're students here. What makes our co-curricular or athletics different than other schools, or values, or really can really or really exude from our program? I think students will seek the magic, and the magic means more, and the strive for excellence you can find in our co-curriculars and athletics. This is the opportunity for students to be, men and women for others, right? You work with others to achieve something greater than yourself, which is one of the characteristics of Jesuit leadership, working for a higher purpose than yourself. And that's something that you absolutely can do in your co-curricular. This is where you can demonstrate leadership, and not just leadership, but the leadership that St. Ignatius Loyola wanted us to have, to be a servant for others, and when you're being a good teammate, right? Ingenuity, right? Always try to find a solution to a problem, right? But the most important, I will repeat again, is to be people for others, which is at the crux of the Jesuit values. So that's what makes us, I believe, different from other schools. And also the fact, I'll repeat again, we're a small school. You come in, you will make an impact, you will make a difference right away. You will probably set the world on fire right away, as Mr. Lodi was saying earlier. And that's my belief. So if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer you. You can contact me over email. I'll be more than happy to provide more details for you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jacques. Greatly appreciate it. I think when excuse me, we as adults can talk about Loyola and what a Loyola education really means, but to get a true sense and a true essence of Loyola education, it comes from those who have directly experienced it. Tonight, we're happy to welcome a few alums who have graciously volunteered their time on a Monday night to come in and speak to us a little bit about their experience going through particularly the college counseling process, and what their experience at Loyola has done for them while in college. So I'd like to introduce to you, we have Mr. Sidney Essex, we have Julia Manuali, and we have with us also Alex Del Franco. Alex and Sidney are from the class of 2020, and Julia is from the class of 2021. If you could unmute yourself, all three of you, and if you could just introduce yourselves very briefly and tell us where you are in school. And I'm sorry, I think we also have Juliet. I believe we had Juliet DeSpirito in there. Maybe I'll have to catch where she is. Yep, there she is. I apologize, Juliet. And she will be joining us as well. So if you could all four of you, if you could please unmute yourselves and introduce yourselves, we greatly appreciate it.
My name is Sidney Essex. I graduated Loyola in 2020, like Mr. Lodi said, and I'm currently at the George Washington University studying International Affairs and Arabic, where I'm a sophomore.
Thank you.
My name is Alex. I also graduated. I was in Sydney's class, graduated in 2020. I'm a sophomore at Amherst College currently. I'm studying physics and astrophysics.
Great.
Double major.
Great.
Hi, I'm Julia. I graduated Loyola in 2021, and I'm a freshman at Georgetown, and I'm majoring in psych and sociology.
Hi, I'm Juliet. I graduated last year. I'm a freshman at Cornell, and I'm majoring in civil engineering.
Great. So thank you, everyone, all four of you, for joining us this evening. If I can ask you, just quite honestly, as in a couple minutes, I guess, talk a little bit about your Loyola experience that you had while you were in school here, and also in particularly the college counseling aspect, if you could speak to that as well. So Sydney, let's start with you.
I had a wonderful time at Loyola. I was very, very involved extracurricularly, particularly in my junior and senior years. I ran track, cross country. I was involved with the speech and debate team, as well as also attending a bunch of service trips throughout my time. And I would say, in terms of college counseling, the small class size is a really benefit to you because whoever your college counselor is will really get to know you and form a relationship with you. And they will learn what characteristics you have that will be desirable to colleges. And they'll work with you at kind of constructing a narrative that you can present to colleges and present your best characteristics.
Great. Julia, if you don't mind, same questions?
Yeah, sure. When I was at Loyola, I absolutely loved it. I spent most of my time doing a lot of service and going on service trips, but I was also in book club and dance club for a while. College counseling at Loyola really helped me for sure. I really liked how it started super early. So we went on sophomore college immersion day where we saw 2 schools. And then I also went on the college tour trip, which was 5 days in the beginning of the summer. And we saw, I think, like 13 or 14 schools in a really short amount of time, but it was really helpful and fun. But Loyola really helped me and guided me throughout the whole process, and they helped me land at Georgetown. So
Great. Thank you. Appreciate that. Alex, same questions.
Yeah, I can really just kind of build off of what Sydney and Julia said. I had a really nice time at Loyola. I was the editor of the newspaper, was involved in many other clubs. And I think really towards kind of college preparation, I think the big point that both of them kind of touched was that you start early. That was kind of one of the nicest parts about the Loyola process was while other friends were kind of like, they hadn't started thinking about college or other schools, we were going on tours, we were talking about it in classrooms, we were kind of thinking, which courses am I going to take now that I'm really interested in, that will let me think about possible subjects I'll want to study in the future. And so when that time finally came around to really like make a list and consider where am I going to apply and think about different aspects of schools that we might really enjoy. I personally, and I think a lot of my friends, felt very prepared. We weren't caught off guard at all. We really kind of saw it coming, and it was brought to us very slowly and very carefully, so we could all kind of have that time to make a really good decision.
Great, thank you. Juliet.
Yeah, same for me. I love Loyola. I miss it pretty much every day. I miss my friends, and the clubs were amazing. I was in a couple clubs, mainly robotics, joined the robotics team. And I just had a really great time. It really is like a place where you get to know some of the friends that you're going to have for life. And the college guidance, I would agree. We started so early. We started taking the PSAT in freshman year, which kind of like gives you an idea from the start of what you're going to need to do to prepare for the like college entrance exams. And I didn't even really have a list of colleges like going into junior year until the college guidance office helped me like create my list. So I basically wouldn't have any idea of where I wanted to go if it wasn't for Loyola sort of like catering the college guidance to me individually, and having like meetings with just the college guidance counselor and then with my parents. So they basically guide you through the whole process because there's so little of us that need the help. So yeah, it was really great.
Great. Julia, sticking with you for a bit, tell me a little bit about, well, where you went to grade school, where you came before you entered Loyola, and what was in your consideration when you were looking at high schools?
I went to a small school. It's called St. Stephen's of Hungary. It was a pre-K through 8th grade. So I was there for my whole life. So I was very scared coming into high school. And I chose Loyola mainly because it was also a small school with a tight-knit community, where your teachers really know you by name and you can get like the personal attention that you need. And also all of the things that they talked about at the open house, like the grad at grad characteristics of being open to growth and committed to doing justice, all of those things really spoke to me. And I wanted to be able to like sort of get to do those things. Yeah.
Fantastic. Alex, if you don't mind, same questions.
Yeah, I really think Juliet hit on a number of like really important topics there too. I came from a small school, St. Bernard's. It was an all boys school, a K through 12 or K through 8 school. And when I was looking at high schools, I really wanted a school that kind of had that same community. And that's a word I think when you talk to students who are at Loyola or gone through Loyola will come up just time and again. It's really evident that the teachers care about you, that the faculty care about you, and they want you to succeed. You're never kind of fighting against the system. The system is always really rooting for you. And throughout your classes, throughout, if you want to start a new club, if you want to kind of revitalize an old club, people will always want to help you in that. And I think I saw that kind of at the beginning when I was looking at Loyola, and I made my decisions kind of based on those factors of like, I want a community that I will fit into, but that also will kind of embrace me and allow me to be my best self. And I think I really did find that at Loyola.
Awesome. Awesome. Julia, same questions.
I went to a very small grade school called Buckley Country Day School on Long Island. I was there since I was 2. So like Juliet, I was very scared to go to high school, but I really liked Loyola. Loyola was the only co-ed school I applied to, and I actually really valued that. And so that was one big factor for me. I also really liked how all the Jesuit values sort of come together and makes the school and all the teachers and everyone there care for the whole person. That's like one of the biggest parts of the values of being in a Jesuit school. Also, just echoing what Juliet and Alex both said, Loyola is a very small community where everybody knows everybody. And it was really appealing to me to go to a school where I would walk through the hallways and know everybody's face and basically everyone's name too. And everyone says hi to each other. And you could just go on the rooftop and want to play soccer and join whatever game is happening with anyone there because you know everybody, and that was really nice when I was applying to high schools to go to another small school because that's similar to what my grade school was.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Sydney.
So I went to a Quaker middle school that was a 10-minute walk from where I grew up in Brooklyn. We called our teachers by their first names. We sat on beanbags in class. There was no dress code of any kind. And I had been there since I was a small child. And they had a high school, so I kind of assumed that I would go to high school there. And my mom heard about Loyola through a friend. I applied just on a whim. It was pretty easy to apply. I sat for the test. And I ended up deciding that I would really like a change and I would like somewhere with a little bit more of a structured atmosphere where I would learn the life skills of, putting on a tie every day and it would be being a little bit more professional when I sat down to class. But I also ended up getting to Loyola, being terrified, knowing nobody. It was the first time I ever had to commute in my life. And I really fell in love with the Jesuit education, the care for the whole person, the very small community. I knew, like everyone else who spoke before me has said, I knew everyone. Your teachers will really take an interest in you and kind of make sure that you develop as a person throughout your 4 years. And I have never, ever regretted that decision.
Thank you. If there's, for our 4 alums on the panel here, if there's one piece of advice that you could give prospective 8th graders who are looking at Loyola, what would it be? Sydney, you can go. Start.
Putting me on the spot.
Sorry. I apologize.
Lean into every experience. It might not be easy at the beginning. At least for me, it was not. I was waking up much earlier than I had ever before to take the train to all the way to the Upper East Side from Brooklyn. But I would say that you will eventually look back on your 4 years of Loyola and realize that you had a wonderful time and you made wonderful friends and had a really just wonderful experience. So don't rush anything. Let experiences happen to you, take risks, talk to people, and just enjoy the experience of going to Loyola.
Awesome. Thank you. Julia, what about you?
I would say to join all the clubs you're interested in, because you can, at Loyola especially, you can handle being in a bunch of different clubs and different types of clubs, and meet everyone that you can and hang out with everyone that you can, and just like really embrace being at Loyola. Literally, Sydney just said that, but it's a really good place to explore all of your interests. Like, for example, I had never done service before I went to Loyola, and I spent most of my time at Loyola doing service, and I don't think I would have found that passion had I not gone to Loyola.
Alex?
I think I would say that applying to high school and applying to college even are just, they're both terrifying experiences. And I think it's okay to be scared. I think that's kind of the big takeaway. Everyone else is just as scared as you are. It's new for everyone, especially applying to high school. When you finally get to high school, wherever you go, whether it's Loyola or some other school that you will eventually spend 4 years at, everyone else is going to be nervous to meet new people. Everyone's going to be kind of ready to enter that new part of their life. And it's really okay. It's perfectly normal and perfectly fine. And you will find friends, you will meet people, you will have great experiences. And I think it's something to be excited for. You should be nervous, of course, but you should also be really excited.
Thank you. And Juliet?
Yeah, kind of agreeing with all of them, but I would just say like take advantage of all the opportunities. Like you might think going into Loyola, it's kind of a small school, so there isn't much to like discover and do, but there are a lot of opportunities, a lot of clubs, a lot of classes that you can take that you might not have thought about taking before. And it's kind of just the perfect environment to be able to try all those new things. You have a huge support group, all of the teachers and the guidance counselors, they all are there for you. So if you think like you're scared to try something new, you can always talk to them. And so I just think you should take advantage of everything that you want to do.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. I see we have a question, and maybe we can ask this. I think we may hold this off until the end. For our alums that are on the panel, do you mind sticking around after Ms. Brennan does her presentation to answer some questions that people in the virtual audience may have? All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Next, we are going to have Ms. Maura Brennan, our Director of College Counseling, speak about the college counseling program here at Loyola and what that entails. Ms. Brennan.
Hello, thank you, everybody. I will do the quick screen share as well. And well, I think we had such a lovely preview there of my presentation from our alumni. I think there's certainly no better testament to what happens here through our program than certainly the experiences of our young alumni. And I'll take a few minutes just to go over some of the specifics for everybody. Mr. Urslani started off this evening talking about how much of the high school process is very similar to what we're going to be doing on the college process. And it certainly is true. We're really looking to see what is the right fit and where are you going to thrive academically, socially, where you're going to be surrounded by students who are really going to challenge you and to help you grow. When we project a few years into the future and thinking about college, we're going to be doing exactly the same thing, perhaps just on a little bit of a larger scale. We're going to be thinking about ultimately what college or university is the right fit. Now, thinking about Loyola, Cura Personalis is a hallmark of Jesuit education, and it's certainly a cornerstone of Loyola's counseling program. Each student's academic and personal growth is fostered through a comprehensive 4-year guidance program. Students meet in guidance class once a cycle throughout their 4 years at Loyola. As our alums testified to, that starting early was something that was really helpful to them. In freshman and sophomore years, the curriculum is taught by school counselors, and then it's team taught by school counseling and college counseling in junior and senior years. The college counseling curriculum heats up in junior year. That's when we focused in earnest on both the college search test preparation, and preparation of college application materials. From essay writing workshops to the application materials boot camp to college visits, there's a great deal of hands-on work with the counselors to prepare for application season. We begin meeting individually to talk about each student's individual college search, as Juliet talked about those individual meetings were so important to her in her junior year. These meetings continue throughout senior year as we finalize application plans and materials. It's October now. Our seniors are certainly buzzing with college application plans. And as you can see from my voice fading, we do a lot of talking throughout the month of October about colleges. Parents are certainly an integral part of this process. You're invited to a series of information sessions on the college process, beginning actually in freshman year. We hold a long-term college planning meeting for both freshmen and sophomore parents. All are welcome back for junior parents night, financial aid night, and finally the application night for senior parents. All parents are also encouraged to meet with their child and the college counselor beginning in junior year. If we can find a positive of COVID, I think it has been how Zoom is now very much a part of our lives. And we're finding certainly in my office, it works well that I can be meeting individually with a student and we can just Zoom the parent in for that conversation. And that's really been helpful throughout this fall. So you got a little bit of a preview from our alumni that are here in terms of the schools that they are enrolled in, but generally, where do our students go? Where do they find their fit? For a small community, you'd be surprised at what an adventuresome bunch Loyola alumni truly are. We have students enrolled in colleges and universities, not just throughout the United States, but across the globe. Our matriculation decisions show a rich array of college and university experiences, from Jesuit institutions like Georgetown, Holy Cross, Boston College, Fordham, Loyola, Santa Clara, to top Catholic universities like Notre Dame, Villanova, Providence. We have students looking for large public research universities and currently have students studying at places like Michigan, Wisconsin, Purdue, Penn State. Some are looking for a private school experience. We have students at places like Columbia, Cornell, Lehigh, USC, University of Rochester, Wake Forest. Maybe you're also looking for a small liberal arts college experience. And we have students like places like Pomona and Bates and Wesleyan, like Alex at Amherst, at Colorado College. And then it's interestingly enough, we do have a number of students that are looking for an international experience. We currently have students studying at Trinity in Dublin, at the University of Exeter, the University of Edinburgh, McGill in Canada, St. Andrews in Scotland, and even the Hungarian Dance Institute. This is just a small taste of where our students are matriculated. If you would like to see the full list, please note that it is available on our school's website. The college search is an exciting process, and we're really happy to have the privilege to walk this path with you. Please know that the Loyola community is a warm, welcoming community where each student is cared for. Best of luck with your high school search, and we look forward to talking further over the next few years. Thank you.
Thank you, Maura. I greatly appreciate it. This ends our formal part of our virtual open house, but we do invite families to stick around and ask questions that you may have of our students. We do have also 4 current students that have joined us, Ishan, Megan, Philip, and Sophia, who can answer your questions that you may have regarding Loyola and with regards to just the high school process itself. One of the questions that came across and was answered in the chat, but I'll bring it up to everyone who may not have noticed. Do the clubs and non-sports organizations meet during the day or in an activities period, or are these all after school? Just thinking about commuting, homework, etc. Many thanks to the people who are here. tonight. So for our alums, if you'd like to, again, speak about your co-curricular experience here at Loyola and what that entailed, please go ahead. And also I invite our current students who are joining us tonight to also speak a little bit about that as well.
I was on the track team and also the debate team, which were both really significant time commitments, especially during the track season in the spring. And for my senior year, I don't remember when we adopted the new schedule, but with the new schedule that Mr. Linus and Ms. Holden have talked about, I never had any time conflict because there was time built in for activities and club meetings that did not conflict with practice. And I was always busy, but I would say being a college student now, that's good practice. It's good to be busy. It's good to have a lot of things going on. And it's good to learn how to manage your time effectively young so that you have those skills when you are living on your own and there's no one telling you how to do it in college.
Anyone of our current students want to join in?
Hi, everyone. I'm Megan. Let's see. I do speech and debate, which is a very popular club at Loyola. I hope you consider joining. I'm also in the Loyola Players, which is our theater group, which is very fun. I hope you come check out our show. It's, I believe, sometime in November. It's going to be very good. And lastly, I'm in Respect, which is sort of like Loyola's GSA, where we talk about things that have been happening in the LGBTQ plus community, and it's open to anyone, regardless of gender or sexuality. So it's a great place to come and just talk and learn.
Great. Thank you, Megan. Anyone else of our current students or our alumni want to add in? Just about co-curriculars and what you were involved in.
Hi, my name's Sophia. So I'm on the cross-country team. I recommend running at Loyola. I also happen to have founded the winter running club with one of my best friends. So that's just a lot of fun to kind of get out and get some exercise. So those things take place after school. However, I also write for the Blazer and I'm part of Green Team, which is our environmental club at Loyola, and we focus on making Loyola a more sustainable place, especially given all the climate issues that have emerged recently. Last year we accomplished a bunch of things. We actually sold metal straws, and with the money that we raised from selling those straws, we donated to some foundations that help take plastic out of the oceans, because the plastic straw thing is a whole terrible thing. I encourage you to read about it. But the Blazer and both Green Team, they meet during activities periods. So I'm able to manage, being on the cross country team, as well as like the workload, and then also being part of a bunch of clubs. So, I mean, Loyola really does a great job at, giving students time to, do extracurricular activities as well as, stay on top of your work, which is super great.
Great, thank you. Another question that came in, how often does the basketball team meet? And so maybe this can go in terms of sports in general. And what is the daily workload for homework?
I can answer this one.
Oh, thanks, Ashan.
So I'm not on the basketball team, but all Loyola sports, I am on cross country, and all Loyola sports and also academic clubs like debate, which I'm also on, they tend to be pretty active commitments. So for a basketball team, you're probably going to be meeting every day, at least 4 days a week, for practice. The homework level, I'd say it's pretty good for the amount of time we get. Like if you're utilizing your free periods to the best of your ability at school, and you're kind of, freshman year is good because teachers are really good about understanding that you're coming into a new environment. So you have a lot of time to like work on time management skills, like Sydney was saying, and kind of get those skills. So I think Loyola's homework load is definitely manageable if you use your time to the best of your ability. Just kind of like any school,
Thanks, Ashan. Anyone else would like to throw in their experience just with regards to sports at Loyola and the daily homework load, and maybe how that worked together. So Sophia, you can go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, just to kind of build off what Ishan said, I mean, with like being on varsity sport, because I also do track, I think I mean, time management is very important. The guidance department, starting freshman year, we do a bunch of exercises working on our time management. You know, teachers are always, it's great. You can like reach out to them if you need help with your time management. And if you feel that the workload is a little bit too much to handle with your sport, you can also talk to your coach about that. But I mean, I would say that it is very manageable. I mean, if you are utilizing, you know, free periods, like Ishan mentioned, you know, as well as you're staying on top of, you know, your like your assignments, and you should be fine. I mean, they say, like, one of my coaches told me this, like, you're like a student athlete and the student part comes first. You know, so you obviously have to focus on the academic portion, but the athletic part is also important, I mean, yeah, I would say I agree with Ishan, they're very manageable.
Can I add on one more thing, Mr. Lodi?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So also with the way Loyola schedule works is your core classes don't meet every day. They meet every other day. So let's say you have math on Monday, you're not going to have math again until Wednesday. So because the classes meet every other day, like that's a good way for you to kind of split your homework over 2 days rather than having to do all of your homework in one night. So that does make it a little bit easier. You can kind of spread it out over 2 days instead of one day. So
yeah, thank you. Another question that came in: how many clubs are you allowed to join, and what plays does the drama group, the Loyola players, do?
I will
Megan, go ahead.
answer
Sure.
both of those. So I don't really think there's a limit to how many clubs you can join, but also keep in mind that you want to manage your time and make sure you're not overworking yourself. And then as for the plays, so we do 2 shows a year. The first is during the fall semester, we do a play, which is what we're doing now. And then during the second semester, we usually rotate between a musical or comedy.
Thank you. Maybe a question for both our alums and our current students. What was your favorite class at Loyola, and why was that your favorite class?
I took AP English language with Miss Holden in my junior year, and I absolutely loved that class. We talked a lot about, it was different from other English classes because it was more analyzing rhetoric in essays or speeches or whatever the case may be. And I found that really, really interesting. It kind of informed the classes that I took in college a lot. I'm an international affairs student now, so you can see the progression. And I just absolutely love that class. So
great, thank you, Sydney. Any of our other alumni that are on the call, do you mind answering that question?
Yeah, my favorite class was AP Physics, which I took in my senior year. And I'm in engineering now, so that kind of makes sense, but I really enjoyed it. We sort of did it hybrid, so we didn't get to have all of like the lab experiences that you guys would get to have if you took it. But so instead we would do labs at home, which was also really cool. Like the school sort of made it possible for us to do labs at home, even when we couldn't be in person. But so the things that we like learned in that class, we got to sort of understand them through labs. There's a lab period for science classes once a week or once a cycle. So yeah, I really enjoyed the science classes, especially because of the labs and everything we got to do.
I can echo that sentiment, actually. AP Physics, I think, was my favorite class as well. Although AP Biology was very fun too. But I think both of those had in common a really strong lab element. And that's, I think, where you can see where the teachers who teach the AP classes really strive to kind of bring the material to life, make it intuitive and enjoyable for the students. A lot of my friends at other schools kind of took AP courses in very much a study to the textbook sort of way and do really well on the test. And I think they lost a lot of the beauty of the material in that they became more of a chore, just to check off boxes on your college resume. And I think both of those classes for me really embodied how much effort the teachers put in to making these courses really fun and really exciting. And I'm a physics major now in college, and I think that really is evidentiary of how much I really, really enjoyed those classes, how much they kind of shaped the things that I was interested in learning more about in my life.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex.
My favorite class was AP Psychology with Mr. Egner my senior year. I just really liked how it was different than the other sciences that we learned about, like whether it was biochem or physics your freshman, sophomore, and junior year. And specifically about that class, I liked that we would learn material and then do like a memory game if we were just learning about memory to apply what we actually learned about the brain and how memory actually works. So it wasn't just like memorizing terms and what they do, which I feel like sometimes psychology can be like that.
Great. Any other questions? I certainly invite people to ask. I want to allow them to do that. We will also have, for those who are still on, we will have a virtual co-curricular night on November 1st, which we will then further answer any questions that you may have regarding the different co-curriculars that we have here at Loyola. Just a couple of dates to remember. We have the first part of our application is due on October 29th. Our early decision deadline for the application at Loyola is November 12th, and our regular decision application deadline is December 16th. If that is all in terms of questions from the audience, then we can officially end our virtual open house. I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. It went a little bit, oops, looks like one more question. Are there on, okay. Are there on, yep. Go ahead, Isha.
Yeah, so there are plenty of honors humanities APs. So sophomore year, you could take honors English and AP European history. And then junior year, there's AP US history and AP English language. And then senior year, there's AP English literature. There do happen to be slightly more STEM AP honors courses at Loyola, but there are plenty of honors. I'm more of a humanities person. I'm really into the history and English side of things. So, but there's plenty of courses at Loyola for, people who are interested in more of the humanities side of things. So, yeah.
I can also add, if there's an AP class that you want to take that Loyola doesn't offer because of its small size, which was my situation in senior year, they will make an effort for you to be able to take it. I took AP Comparative Politics online using the website Shmoop, I believe. I had one teacher who was willing to look over my work whenever he had spare time, and I ended up getting a 5 on the exam and being able to skip introductory classes at GW because of it. So I think that even if there's a class that you don't want to take because of the small size and because everyone knows you and because everyone will know what type of student you are, teachers will really make an effort to make sure that you can learn whatever you would like to learn.
Thank you, Sydney. I think we had one more question. Let me just scroll up here real quick. For a student interested in computer science and coding, what options are there for an incoming freshman? Any of our current students who took the STEM classes? Ishan, go ahead.
Yeah, so freshman year, you take a freshman STEM, which is, I kind of brought this up during the tour, sort of introduction to STEM. So you work a lot with robotics, like you're coding Lego robots and stuff like that. If you're really into coding, that more kind of comes in the later years. So sophomore year, you take one semester of introductory computer science. And then junior year, junior, senior, you can take electives, right? So junior year, you can take advanced programming and then JavaScript. And then if you take both of those, which each one semester classes, you can actually take AP computer science your senior year. So if you're interested in coding, not so much freshman year, but sophomore, junior, senior year, there are plenty of opportunities for you to, work through that passion, I guess, and take classes that are about coding. So
right. I think we'll wrap it up and end it for tonight. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us, all of our alumni, all of our current students, faculty, and staff who joined us. It was truly an informative open house, and I apologize again for the length of it, but truly I hope you were able to glean some information regarding Loyola, and I hope to see you again soon. If you have any questions for the admissions department, please feel free to contact us at admissions@loyolanyc.org. Again, admissions@loyolanyc.org. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. We greatly appreciate it.